Hey everyone, I just finished reading this book Rest by Alex Soojung Kim Pang. I think I got that right. This was actually a present. I didn't choose it, but it's absolutely brilliant. One of the best books I've read in ages. Rest. What it talks about is essentially how to do well, how to keep doing well, how to maintain your creativity. So the first thing it does is it says that rest and work are not enemies. They're like lovers, they're partners. And to do really well at work, you need to rest. Seems obvious, but it's a bit deeper than that. So the chapters in here, I mean, it's 250 something pages. It doesn't seem like it's an easy read. It's very engaging. So it talks a lot about creative people, and by that I don't just mean artists and writers, although it mentions those. Politicians, people like Churchill, Eisenhower, they're very creative because they had to be to do their jobs well. Scientists, researchers, etc. And it just gives a lot of tips on their routines, the routines and the habits and the scientific research which backs it up of the most successful people. Can I remember all the chapters? So the sections, for example, the first one is it's called 4 Hours, and it's about being creative. So it talks about the fact that people with massively productive careers, people like Stephen King, who's probably written more books than most people, famous scientists, lots of writers in fact, they tend to work solid for 4 hours a day. That's it. Doesn't seem like a lot, but apparently that's a lot for creative work. And also they have a morning routine, and they get a lot done. So most of them wake up in the morning and straight away they start writing or they start working. And it's amazing what you can do with a morning routine. I remember years and years ago, I used to wake up early before I went to work and for 45 minutes play my guitar. And within a year, I made more progress than I made at any other time, probably over 20 years. And now I'm not that good anymore because I don't have my morning routine. The other things it talks about, so after your morning routine, your 4 hours, naps, take naps and walk. Lots of examples of people walking, and scientifically they're valid because they took out other factors of people walking who had their best ideas, their biggest breakthroughs whilst they were walking but not actively working. Very interesting, that chapter. And then taking naps, people who are creative, Salvador Dali was a good example, Churchill was another example, and lots of people take naps. Also introduces us to the idea that being super busy and being stressed all the time shows that you're working hard. That's an invention of recent times. If you look at the ancient Greeks, they talked about a balanced life. The Greek god idea, everyone's really healthy and really clever, and etc., etc. But there's a lot to back that up. And then a section that I found really interesting was called Stop. So once again, it talks about people working on complex problems, like scientists, like software developers, like code breakers, like writers. Is never get everything out at once. Let's say you're doing your 4 hours of writing, or your 4 hours of coming up with hypotheses or whatever, or designing an experiment. Stop when you know what the next step is. Don't write it all out, because that way when you start the next day, you already know where to start, so you won't be sitting there with writer's block or anything. Lots of really, really good insights. Sleep, the importance of sleep, we all know that. Humans sleep less than other apes, but that's more of the stuff in here. And exercise is a brilliant one. There was a study on identical twins, and it showed that of those identical twins, the reason that's important is because genetics then isn't a factor. The ones who exercised generally lived longer, had better careers, made more money, were healthier, and that all seems obvious. If you're healthy, you'll live longer, you'll work harder, whatever. But exercise actually has effects on the connectivity and the amount of cells in the brain and everything. Amazing. There was an example of a woman in there, Olga something, I can't remember the name, who started exercising when she was 77 and won loads of gold medals and died in her 90s. And as she started exercising, her brain capacity improved. So it's a really, really interesting book. How much is it? $12.99, but I'm sure you can get it for less than that. I think I got this for free. Somebody sent it to me. So really good. I would recommend it. I actually think anyone who wants to be productive should read it. So if you want to be productive but not burned out, not super stressed, not super tired all the time, then read it. So I give it 10 out of 10. So it's rest when you get more done, why you get more done when you work less. I can read, really, look. and it's by Alex Soojung Kim Pang. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the review.